and tolerance and understanding. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and
So it
yeah,
it kind of stretched your own personality at that point, probably to do that.
it did. It did. I felt there was something there, and well, I knew there was something there, and I knew he didn't know it yet, and I gave him every benefit of the doubt. So, yeah, I hung in there, and it turned out perfect, except, of course, that he passed.
Yes. Oh my gosh, what a story! How long, by the way, was it by the time from the time you met to the time you actually got married?
We met in '94 and married the same day that my parents got married in '95. Not the same date, not the same year, but the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh
we lived
gosh.
together. Yeah, we lived. I met him in the end of '94 and moved in with him a couple of months thereafter. And he was hesitant to marry, I think, because of his moodiness and his health condition. So he was prolonging it, and then he wanted to get married on the same day as my parents did. And I said, "Why? That's my parents' anniversary, not to be ours, you know."
Yes.
And he said, "Well, I think that would be neat." You know, I thought, "Oh my goodness, you know." So anyway,
what did your parents think of that?
well, yeah, they weren't really happy with that. But at the wedding, I ordered our cake, our wedding cake, and then a satellite cake for my parents. So they cut their little wedding cake and anniversary cake while we cut our wedding cake. At,
That's a nice touch.
Reception.
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Gosh. I bet there has got to be, I don't know if you've included the story of your husband's passing and travails that you must have gone through with that in your book. But I'll bet that was quite a experience yourself to go through that.
Yes, it was heart-wrenching. I couldn't stop crying, and I was always surrounded by mounds of used tissues.
Yeah.
Deeply depressed. Deeply depressed.
Was the writing of the book done shortly after his death, or did it take you a while to kind of get a perspective to start writing?
It took a little while. It took, it took about a half a year, because things would keep playing around and going around in my mind over and over again, the story and things that happened and things we talked about and things we did and in the story itself. And I knew I had a story to tell in the beginning, but I didn't know exactly where to start it. So I went all the way back, back to 2 years old, but I added so much more to it. And then as I was writing it, it dawned on me, this whole story is about what Guiding Kathy, a true story, is about. So I I edited the heck out of the original manuscript, which was between 500 and 600 pages.
Oh, my goodness.
It down to now. Yeah, this book is down to about approximately 144 pages. Yeah, a lot of editing. But again, that I had written the manuscript. I turned that into the screenplay. That's right. From the manuscript, it went to a screenplay. From the screenplay, it went back into a manuscript where I feel much more comfortable with.
Would that be your first screenplay that you attempted, or had you done others?
Yeah. That was my first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If I were to do that over again, it would be to revamp it. I would change scenes around a bit and in the dialogue and a lot of it. So, but the same story basically. Yeah.
Right.
And all true. Yeah.
Well, and now, let me ask, how long has it been now since your husband's passing?
He passed in 1997.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got some basic perspective now, a little bit on this whole thing. And of course, writing the book, I don't know about your experience, but it seems to be very, therapeutic. I would say sometimes to get those thoughts down on paper. How was it for you?
I thought it would be, but it just, every time I would edit it and read it again, I kept crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. Yeah. It's, I think finally, now that it's published, I'm a little bit removed from it, which makes me happier because I'm not so intensely depressed about it, the whole situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it almost becomes like an entity of its own once you've published it. It's something you can actually look at from a distance and go, "Wow, that's a product of me," but it's almost taken a life of its own on, I'm sure.
Yeah, it has. It really it wants a lot of attention, and it's taking a lot of my energy to get it out there, but I'm going to do it, because it deserves it. I wouldn't have written it otherwise.
No, and put all this time and effort into it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Is this the kind of book that you did a lot of searching for to try to find a publisher? Did you end up self-publishing it, or how did that actually come about, where you actually created this thing from a manuscript to a published book?
That was a very difficult route, yes. I'm not a known person. I'm a person with a fantastic story that must be told. So how to approach an agent that doesn't know me, that I have not published a book prior to this one, that was a great ordeal to overcome. So
yeah,
talking with some people, and I just realized, and doing some research on the internet about it, I finally found my outlet to get it out there, which was through Amazon, and I published it for free. It was great, but I had to format it myself, and that took a little doing. Yeah, it wasn't extremely difficult. It just took a little understanding of how to format for them. That it wasn't Amazon. It was the digital version. The ebook came out first. Yeah. That was pretty simple. But for Amazon, a hardbook copy version needed a professional formatter for it. And through that, I went to get that done. I went through Fiverr, Fiverr.
Yeah.
And they charge anywhere from $25 all the way up to around $100 to get it formatted, and that's what I did. I could not have formatted that book by myself. It had special fonts to it in design. Yeah, and also for the cover. I went through them as well.
Oh, yes. That's wonderful. I mean, I've done a few publishing myself on Amazon, and have used their it's not a sister company, but the company they recommend called Create Space to actually put the book together itself. It's kind of fun because it's hands-on. You get to do it yourself if you think you're capable of picking a book cover, and doing that and formatting it, through that process. But it's very intense because you put in all this time and effort creatively to get the words down. And now you go, oh my gosh, I have to do all this mechanical stuff too.
It's endless. It's endless. It's totally endless. Yes. And then you want to order the proof copy to make sure it all looks nice for the hard copy version. And then to publicize it, it's an ongoing process. Yeah.
And
I thought when I pushed.
Go ahead.
I thought when I pressed the publishing button, I was done. Oh no, that was the beginning of another career.
Oh yeah. No, that's for sure. All of a sudden now you got this other thing that you have kind of hooked to your hip, that you got to deal with, And I'm having fun along the way, but it's been interesting. It's nothing planned though.
I didn't plan on any of this, so it's been an interesting journey.
Well, and it sounds like you're continuing to be open to your guidance from your angels and God as you go along this path as well. So that's probably something that you're still learning how to do. Take that guidance.
Yes, with more acceptance and not being so shocked, and to understand as they're trying to protect and guide me, the best they can without shocking me. So I'm trying not to be as shocked when I get that information.
Right. Well, that goes to the next kind of aspect of this whole thing. Do you think this will end up being a sequel series or more than one book eventually? Or do you think it's just something that you are going to stop here and do your very best to get this book out amongst the world? That would be interesting for us to know whether you think you might have some more books down the road.
I have some other books in mind, definitely. Right now, I want to still work on this book, get it out there, and then give myself a little rest in between before I take on another project.
Yes. Do you have a certain schedule that you like to adhere to when you write your book?
No, it's just how I feel, and at the time that I need total peace and quiet. I need everything, like the background noise, taken care of, the paperwork and whatever, paying the bills, whatever, all that paperwork done. I need free and clear space, free, clear, quiet space, and then have at it. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you keyboard yourself?
I'm sorry?
Do you do the keyboarding yourself, or do you handwrite your notes, or what do you do?
Oh, I type them in. Yeah, I type as I go, and save the page often. I've learned that too.
Oh my gosh!
Things have gotten accidentally erased, and don't even talk to me for a day or two after.
Oh my goodness! How many authors have said that same thing? They've got
really.
A manuscript down and they lose half of it, or some of it, fritzes out and it doesn't come across for some reason. I've had that happen to me, but remarkably, I think when I go back and do it over again, start from scratch, it's almost as if there is a guiding force that gets me through the process again, and probably, I think, makes it better, the second time.
It does. I believe that's true. I do. Yes.
Which is frustrating to think about. It's like, why didn't I write it that way the first time? And I have to go through a whole draft, but.
Yeah, it's another fluke in the universe. Yep. Putting you right back on the right path, yeah.
Do you find yourself, as you write, almost being in a zone where sometimes you just look back the paragraph before or the page before and you go, I hardly even remember writing that?
Yeah, I've been there.
Just flows somehow. It's coming to you out of the blue. Sometimes I will just start writing on a project I'm working on or something, and I have no idea where I'm going to go. I just kind of start, and it seems to kind of lead you in a certain direction after a while.
Yeah, well, are you writing nonfiction or fiction?
I'm usually writing fiction, novels.
Okay.
I've written, for instance, a time travel love story, very similar to the movie and the book, Somewhere in Time. Remember that, with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour?
I've yet to see that picture. I plan to, though. Yeah. Huh.
Oh, you will.
It's old. Yeah, but yeah.
It's like 1980s, but it is it's just classic, and it all takes place on the small Victorian architectural island of Mackinac Island, in the middle of Lake Huron, up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. where there are no cars allowed, and this is